I have the pleasure of welcoming Patricia Ithau, the Chief Executive Officer, WPP ScanGroup. Welcome to Double O Direct, Patricia.
Thank you, Double O. It's good to see you again after a long time.
It's been really long. I think it was like mid-noughties when we last met.
I think so. But thankfully, we haven't changed much.
No, we're still as hot and as intelligent and as vibrant as ever.
I tell you. Like good old wine, as they say.
Exactly. Yeah. Finer and finer. So welcome to Double O Direct. Congratulations on your role. I think it's been a couple of months now.
No, actually, it's double a couple. It's 4 months.
4 months.
Yes. Yeah.
How
lots
the
of
time
doubles.
flies.
Yeah.
Tell me, for those who are uninitiated, a recap, a roundup of who is Patricia Ithau?
Patricia is a woman who loves people, who loves having fun, who loves to make a difference, who loves shoes.
Yes.
I mean, above all, really loves shoes.
Yes.
I think I'm also a person who really believes that you should leave everything you touch feeling good about it. And I think that is a very short summary of who I am. Other than, of course, I have to say that, yes, I'm also a mother of 2 absolutely amazing and gorgeous girls as well.
Imelda Marcos. Now that we've gotten... Anyone born 80s will know who Imelda Marcos is for sure.
Yeah.
What was the biggest change for you in these last 4 months? Because... the ScanGroup is one of the largest agencies in the region, not just in the country, but in the region. So what were some of the surprises that you encountered, if you're able to share?
I will admit there weren't as many surprises per se, because fortunately, this is an organization I partnered with for very many years. So I had the opportunity to work with them and get to know the people. But other than that, I also sat on the board of WPP ScanGroup up until 2020. So again, I used to have reasonable insights as to what the business was, what they were doing, etc., etc. I think the biggest surprise that I've had is, I guess, the thought that we have enormous potential, and I'm not sure in the last few years we completely harnessed it. Of course, surprised, I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was at the number of young people. Yeah. So that was good fun. That was really good fun. But other than that, I think those were my big surprises. I was also a little surprised, I must admit, that we have to do something about our work environment. So, it was hot, it was different, but the world has really moved on. Even just looking at the studio today, the new world looks for places with greater light, less is absolutely more. So that's one of the things I'll also be looking to see how we change.
One of the things that everyone's always curious about, what do CEOs do on Saturdays? No, seriously, if you weren't here, if I hadn't called you and interrupted your weekend.
Oh my goodness, the last few weekends have been driven by sleep. I won't lie. I do this thing called, nest.
Yes.
Which basically means I stay in bed.
Yeah.
Don't even get out of my nightie. So look, like this morning, my personal trainer came in. I did my 1 hour workout, took a shower and went straight back. Yeah, straight back until I realized, oh my goodness, I've got to be here. So started to bundle and, get ready and everything else in order to be here on time. But I really increasingly am enjoying doing nothing.
Yes.
Yeah, really trying to reconnect to self, recharge the batteries, etc., etc. But then the evening comes along and then stuff happens. So I promise you from 5, there'll be no resting because I'll be speaking at some other Rotary thing. And then, of course, going to listen to Anthony Hamilton.
Yes, I saw that. You were at the Capitol Club when he gave a little bit of
met him on Wednesday night. And so tonight, going to listen to him live. Yeah.
Here is some Sarah Bareilles. I've been listening to the song as I do my runs. I have my workout as well. And this is one of those tracks that has been keeping me on the road.
Okay.
SpiceFM.
7.9. Good afternoon, Mombasa. Be aware, there is a live stream situation happening on the homepage of standardmedia.co.ke. Everyone always asks me, hizi stima zote bili ya KPLC na kwanga ngapi? No, I'm just kidding. The question is, where are the cameras, right? But I'm sure we have a very, very high bill. And I'm sure CEO Nangalianga, see what you do to light coming. No, I shouldn't say that in front of a fellow CEO. Comrades. Homepage standardmedia.co.ke. Do watch us on your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV. How are you coping this election season? What is helping you to stay calm, to stay peaceful, to stay centered? Let me know. SpiceFM KE, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. But with me right now is the CEO of WPP ScanGroup, Madam Patricia Ithau, whose daughters are also going to be present here on 00 Direct because they are amazing achievers in and of themselves. Isn't that right?
Yes, I must say that. You know, the apples don't fall far from the tree, no?
Yes, and 1,000 times yes. So with regards to this period and election resilience for businesses, what do you have to say on that?
I think, first of all, let me just give a little bit of context. I probably want to just dial back a little bit and talk to the current environment that we're in.
Yes.
I think as a country and also, you know, generally around the world, if there's anything that we have learned is how to be a lot more resilient in times of uncertainty, in times of, you know, change. And the last 2 years of the pandemic have shown everyone how to really do this thing called business continuity, right? So if I even give a little bit of context before I even talk elections, let's talk about our country and where we're at the moment. We had a pandemic 2 years. Our GDP has rebounded to the pre-pandemic levels. We're now, I think, Q1 2022, we're talking about 6.8%. Compared to 2.7% the same period last year. If you look at the data from the National Bureau of Statistics, that growth has largely attributed to the recovery in most of the activities. When we look at accommodation, when we look at food services, 56% plus. If we look at the transport sector, 8% up.
Yes.
If you look at some of the results of some of our financial institutions, we're talking about 14% up. And if you look at information and communication, the same. So there's something there to be said that people know, and as an economy, we know how to rebound from tough times.
Yes.
So now we're faced with this thing called the election. And I think for us, I always say that I wish the election could be an event, not a lifetime, which is what it is in Kenya, because we seem to always roller coaster from one election to another. I mean, as soon as we finish this one, we're already politicking for the next.
Yes.
I mean, campaigns started, God knows how long ago.
Way too
early. I mean,
early.
just look at all your newspapers.
Yes.
Which is what I always challenge all the media owners. Please, can we try and switch the psyche of the nation for people to be interested in something other than what some politician man or woman has said somewhere? So in a week's time, yes, we will go into the election. We believe as organizations that we have to ensure that all employees exercise a democratic right to vote or not to vote. So part of the preparedness is ensuring that people are able to get to the places where they do vote. The second thing is, of course, taking cognizance of the fact that there's always a possibility that there could be logistical challenges.
Yes.
Transport. I mean, people, that's how people get around that.
Yes.
Transport. There could be some challenges to transport and everything else. So how are we going to make sure that, people are still able to function if that happens? So the beauty of the pandemic, it taught us that we can be absolutely efficient virtually. So you'll find that, I guess, a number of organizations, and in our organization, one of the things is to encourage people to work virtually over the season so that you don't get caught up somewhere not being able to get back home or to get into the office because of transport disruptions which may arise. But the more important thing is this is a time when you really take a check on knowing where each member of staff is.
Yes.
Yeah, because, there could be sporadic things. Elections are passionate things. They seem to...
they are popularity
contests.
contests.
They're popularity contests. So they do bring up a lot of emotion and passion and everything else. So you need to make sure that members of staff don't get caught up in that. And if they get caught up in that, what is the recourse? Yes. What do we do? So one of the things that were, because a lot of organizations now have put together what they call the business continuity or the crisis manager, whatever teams.
Yes.
And one of the fundamental things that you do is ensure you have the numbers and contacts of every single member of staff. Mm-hmm. And creating what I'd call, communication tools where you could reach out to people, but also having a very clear communication as to who you reach out to. In the event you get caught up in an unfortunate situation,
yes.
How could we help you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so those are some of the things we talk about when we look at preparedness.
Yes.
But I think for me, one of the biggest positiveness is just the sense that, the pandemic took us a long way towards being absolutely effective working virtually.
One thing that surprised me, especially this election period, is that there's still a lot of events taking place that are non-political. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of social events taking place right up until the 9th. Yeah. That I hadn't seen that in past elections. Usually from about a month to, there'd be a slowdown.
Yes.
So from an advertising and from an agency's perspective, how would you compare this year to, let's say, last election, even the previous ones before that? Because if you look at maybe advertising spend or continuity with regards to brands wanting to stay top of mind, what are your insights?
First of all, I think you are right. I think there is a... I was going to use French, but maybe not on radio. No, I think there's a sense of, we've got to live. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And when you look at why all these sectors of the economy have rebounded post the pandemic, is because of exactly that. Mm-hmm. People have realized that, life is short in some ways. We need to live. Mm-hmm. We need to do all the things that we need to do to live. And so that's why you tend to see activities and everything are continuing, because people are saying, we were locked up for 2 years. Now we don't want this thing. And I think there's that sense and that reality as well, that with politics, you're always going to be the sides. What do you call them? The extras at the show. Yes. Because these guys, they do their thing. Shake hands thereafter. Before you know it, we're back again, and then the new alliances are formed, and you just have to get on with your life for all intents and purposes, if I could put it that way. So if I talk to spend, because I've been in marketing, I guess, the bulk of my career, the single biggest message I always try and share is that you have to be there when things are down. So let's put it this way. I'm going to give an example of an organization which I worked for, and which in the last week, shared some incredible results. That organization is called East African Breweries Limited. Mm-hmm. And I always speak to it because the leader is a good friend of mine. The leadership is a very good friend. And I have great admiration, led by women.
Yes.
For you, this is fantastic. And let me tell you why, from my perspective, why they were able to deliver those results. Mm-hmm. In the 2 years when everybody thought the world has shut down, let's stop our investment, they invested. They invested. Yes. They invested in every single thing that needs to be done. They invested in being there for the consumers. They invested in the stuff that's going to make sure that they can meet all their consumer needs. Mm-hmm. And guess what? All that starts to pay off. Now, I would like to use the analogy of friendship. Let's use friends. You have friends, I have a friend, and whatever else. So, whereas we like to say we like to have friends in good times, we also really value the friends who stick with you in the bad times, right?
Yes.
And that's the same thing. The greatest analogy, I say, with supporting and driving your brands. Don't stop supporting your brand just because there's an election, just because this is happening. Because the relationship you form with that consumer is that of the friend who's with you when you're down. And therefore that loyalty when you're up is going to pay off big. So please, I encourage everybody, continue to build that relationship when the chips are up and when the chips are down.
This is Double O Direct, a safe space for women everywhere. Saturday from 10 a.m. I've got a track from Beyonce's latest album, Renaissance. But I'm heard from Patricia that it's Renaissance. What do you say, Patricia?
Renaissance.
Yeah, Renaissance. Renaissance, Mumbi, that is just you. +1 from Shakira. Apparently she's being sought after for tax evasion.
Yes,
and
in Spain somewhere. Can you imagine?
8 years in prison.
Can you imagine? My goodness, what a nightmare.
Mumbi, ulilipa ushuru. Mumbi is there thinking, please don't talk to me. Please don't talk to me. Carrie, do not come after me.
It's scary, actually. Those are the type of things you don't want to hear.
I know.
And for it to reach a point where, that's the only recourse, going to jail.
Do you think it's just her not focusing on her accounts and her accountant in particular?
I don't know. I mean, all I say, with all the resources you have, those are the stupid things that you should not get caught into. Because unfortunately, there's one person who for sure is going to get their due. One is the highest and the other one is a taxman. So please deal with the one on the ground, man.
I thought you were going to say the lowest. We have him on high and then him, Palacini.
Yeah.
But seriously, Shakira did get me through 25 kilometers this week. Running is my therapy. That's how I'm coping this election season. What about you, SpiceFM KE? What about you, Patricia Ithau, CEO, WPP ScanGroup?
How am I coping in this season? Oh, gosh, I live a day at a time, man. I think I'm drawing a lot of energy from the team. I'm drawing a lot of energy from the work that they're currently doing. We have put together a campaign which we're really trying to get out there to drive peace and the message that as Kenyans, we are one blood. So really trying to figure out how we could get more people to ride on that wagon and that bandwidth. Part of them Kenya Daima platform that, as Kenyans, we're bigger, we're one. But if you tell me what I'm doing, I live a day at a time, man. I figure out where I'm going to get a good meal, and I figure out what shoes I'm going to wear, and I figure out what we need to sort out at work. I'm sitting here, how do I get guys motivated? We have had incredible pitches that we've done in recent times and won some amazing new contracts in the last month. So really trying to make sure people are focused around that is where my head is at. And then I'm kept awake at night trying to figure out the things that I need to fix, the things that I need to do to make us bigger and to make us greater in every single way.
As a young girl, as a young woman, you imagine that once you get there, it's easier. We all know that now adulting is hard. So for that young girl, for that young woman who's listening and watching on the homepage of Standard Media, looking at the CEO of WPP ScanGroup have a conversation with Olivia Otieno, what can you say? And I know it's completely off of the election preparedness topic that I called you here for, right? But with regards to lessons, because I feel that we owe it to pass it on and to leave them in a better state than we were when we started. What are some of the gold nuggets that you can offer? And just be honest.
Okay, so funny you're asking me this, because this evening I've been invited to speak at one of the newest Rotary clubs.
Wow.
Jabali, and it's, young people.
Yes.
And they told me, the brief they gave me is, Patricia, you're going to speak about a letter to your young self.
Oh, wow.
So my goodness, so I'm as you spoke, I'm like, oh my goodness, what was I going to say this evening? And let me make sure I stay consistent and use the same direction of travel that I was going to keep. I think for me, I always tell people it's incredible. I was very, very insecure when I was young, incredibly so. Self-esteem issues, tons of things, which covered up with this cool facade. And I was very short-sighted. Let's start there. Wore very thick glasses, and those days, it's not like now where glasses are cool. You get all manner of funky shapes and everything else. You got these things that made you look like you're wearing goggles, right?
Okay.
Literally. In fact, when I look at my pictures when I was young, my children just look and say, oh, my mom, my God, this is really a case of ugly duckling.
Beautiful swan. Because you did become...
Oh, my God.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You did become...
No, let's change that subject. So, moving along swiftly, as I say.
Yeah.
Moving along. And it's so funny that, but when I turned 13, I had a very supportive father. Because again, also, fortunately, I was intelligent.
Yes. Brilliant. She's underselling it.
And so, I told him, listen,
Yes.
I'm going to be a teenager. Already I was called, those days they didn't use the word nerd. They called you a SWAT.
Yes, a
SWAT
SWAT.
was not positive. And then you've got these thick glasses. So, you really box into the totally uncool. So I convinced my father to get me contacts, and I wore contacts right through my teenage. In fact, anybody who met me through my teenage did not believe I was short-sighted. Let me tell you, I didn't even own a pair of glasses just in case I had to wear them.
Oh,
I
wow.
wore those contacts
Yes.
right through.
Yes.
So what I tell young people is, and because I've had the opportunity to bring up 2 amazing young women now, is really to try and shorten that learning curve of insecurity. How do you start believing in yourself a little bit sooner? How do you make sure that in every single way you reaffirm yourself,
Yes.
and you keep telling yourself, actually, I'm going to be okay.
Yes.
I'm going to be okay. Because even if now when I look at a lot of young people because of peer pressure, the biggest thing is you're comparing yourself. You spend your whole time comparing yourself to somebody else. Who's this and who's done that and who's the other.
Yes.
Now, I have this wonderful tool that I use, and that is I go forward. I look forward. I walk ahead and then I look back.
Yes.
How
do you do that?
symbolically teach my head to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to imagine I'm standing at the end of the year.
Yes.
And I'm going to look back at the year.
Yes.
And when I look back at the year, I'm going to then try and see what do I want to have done?
Yes.
And what certainly do I not want to have done? And it's a powerful tool. And in getting in practice of doing it, over time it has taught me also not to, do things, out of, how you get really pissed off. I still do it. And then I'm like, oh my God, Patricia, retract. Because I come from, a part of Kenya where we're known for our fury and tempers and passion.
I'm sure
and
my
everything
father's
else.
from there. My father must be from there too.
So, but learning that
Yeah.
is an incredible thing, because, you have to always ask yourself, if I go forward, what do I want to?
Yes.
And then the second thing that I tell everybody now is this incredible power of, in everybody you touch, leave them feeling good. I think a lot of what has come to pass in my life
Yes.
is because a lot of the people I've touched have then in some way sent me, this is not all dreamy, and it sent me a lot of good karma.
Yeah.
And that good karma has also come in real terms,
Yes.
because if you look at the references, the things, the opportunities that I get, it's always from people who I touched somewhere before. So I think there's a great power to that. And the more we subconsciously start living that, it makes a difference to your life.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And young people need to take note.
And one other thing, I
Yes.
must say, dream. You have to dream. And, we're caught up in this rat race where we don't dream. When I was young, I'd lie on the grass and just stare at the clouds and imagine where I wanted to travel to. And it sounds really silly and stupid. But let me tell you, there's a force in that. Then that drives you and says, maybe that's what I'm going to do.
Yes.
And subconsciously, you start working your way to doing that. Every place I dreamed of when I was 18, I have visited.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Oh, yes.
There's always been this huge gap between potential, reality, and looking ahead to the future. Right now, when I see a lot of young people, the narrative they give me is that I can do anything. With regards to, not that they actually have the tangible skills to do anything,
Yeah.
but they're desperate and they want to be able to be given a chance to do anything, number one. Number two, when I look at the situation with regards to our education system, there are a lot of people who they study this, but they're doing something completely different. As a leader, as one of the few women CEOs that we have, I'm going to say few because if you look relatively, then
we're many now. Oh boy,
with regards to all the CEOs. There are many that are in prominent positions, and we're very, very grateful for that. I know they've worked really hard to get there. But generally, what would you say we can do to rectify that, where we have more young people acquiring the necessary skills for the occupations and the jobs they are going to be doing moving forward? Because you're looking for a better workforce.
To be honest, I think that, what you do in school is there to help broaden your mind and to teach you ways of thinking and that kind of thing. Problem solving, all those type of things. Because increasingly nobody's going to do, or work on something that they went to school for.
Yes.
If I look at my younger daughter, for example, extremely bright girl, incredible scientist. When she was at Yale, she started with chemistry, then went on to the history of medicine and public health and everything else. But her ultimate dream is to be a model, to be a fashion model.
A fashion model.
That is what she wants to. And she's damn good at it. I mean, she's, if that girl walks, when she comes here, you're going to see that. She's very good, very beautiful, very commands a lot of attention and everything else. So I am cognizant of the fact that all these things are foundations. Because if I look at people maybe who have really, really solid academic papers and everything else, and then they get to the workplace and they can't talk, they can't communicate, they can't network, they can't do anything. And I was having another conversation with my other daughter yesterday because she invited me to their beautiful offices at where NT is, that building over
One
there.
Africa Place.
One Africa Place. They have stunning offices there. And, you could see the connection, being a consultant, what it takes and everything else. And so for me, I sit down and say for young people, yes, do that. I love the braveness. I love the boldness. But also what I want you to do is have a little bit of patience to ground and build some foundation. Because at the end of the day, there's going to be some foundation that helps. So when I sit with them and I say, okay, you've done this, you've grown this, you've done. So I say, can we tidy this up? They wouldn't have seen it. I say sometimes that idiom about the devil is in the detail.
Yes.
It really, really helps. Build a bit of foundation and then build the next foundation. But more than anything else, your ability to communicate, to get on with people is going to be something that becomes a more fundamental part of your success.
I promise you, we are going to get into election preparedness for business. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're just taking an alternate route.
Yeah.
Your therapy, Patricia Ithau?
Pilates.
Wow.
I like reformer Pilates because it's just easy. It has less pressure, I guess, on your knees and stuff like that. I have to do a lot of low impact stuff. So that's why I told you I can't run. I honestly and truly can't run.
Okay, is it because you've never tried or because it'll hurt your knees?
Even when I was young, I just don't know how to run. I mean, I watch people kicking their legs up. I'm like, oh my word, how do you do that?
I've never tried Pilates.
Yeah.
So, I guess I have something new to try. And you'll tell me where you do that off mic so that we can go and try it out. So low impact. So there's the Pilates and there's?
Golf.
Oh my God, not another golfer.
Golf.
Not another golfer.
And golf. And more golf.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me the one reason why you think, okay, Pilates aside, tell me the one reason why you think I should give golf a chance.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
And this is why I play golf. I play golf because I have a mind that's always moving. It's here, it's there, it's everywhere, real attention span. Bure kabisa. So with golf, if you do that, and that's probably why my handicap is still very high, by the way, is you won't get the ball. It just takes 1 second and one thought and you miss it. And that's what happens. So I play golf and it's my therapy to try and still my mind, because that's what you need when you're hitting the ball, when you're playing. Oh, you chat in between, but
Yes.
that moment, that second when you're hitting the ball, you really need to still your mind and remember all the 500 things you need to remember. Eyes on the ball, look down, shoulder back, arm straight.
Yes.
Deep breath. Okay,
So 9
but
holes of 18.
that is it.
Yeah.
The second thing I think I enjoy golf is that you play against yourself. That whole, for me at least.
Yes.
Yeah, sure, people have these little bets and whatever else and everything else, but you're playing against yourself. When you play well, you're like, hallelujah, I'm back tomorrow. I could do this. I could kick ass.
Yes.
This is me tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then you go back tomorrow and you play horrible.
Yes.
And you spend your whole time asking, how could that be? What kind of stupidity was that? So I have to go back to prove, no, it was not stupidity. I can do this.
Yes.
And then you're in this constant cycle.
Yes.
Of good, bad, bad, fix, good, yay.
It's just like life, isn't
Exactly. It's life. Exactly life. Yeah.
How long does it take you around?
4 hours.
4 hours.
And 18. Look. And part of the reason it took me a long time to get into it, especially
Yes.
when my children were younger, is, I was busy, I was working. And then now you take time off. During your free time now, you go again and you
Yeah.
bugger off for
Yes.
another 4-5 hours.
Yes.
I mean, if you arrive at 8, you finish at lunchtime. If you get there at 1, you'll finish at 6 or 5. Yeah. So it's a morning or an afternoon. Nothing less.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And here we were about to talk about election preparedness.
And that's why in elections, we will play golf. We will play golf. We will vote and then we'll go and play golf.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
But looking towards the final half and the final quarter of 2022, brands, businesses, we're talking about, private sector.
Right.
Where are some of the low-hanging fruit? Where are some of the
Yeah.
low-hanging fruit? Because I feel like we've taken a lot. Yes, we're recovering as an economy. We're resilient as a people.
Yeah.
We saw, hotels reopening.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
saw some organizations, put together some fantastic numbers with regards to their annual numbers.
Yes.
But where are the low-hanging fruit, and what is cause for that silver lining as we head into the end of the year?
Okay, I think I'm going to be honest and also recognize, whereas the economy has really kicked ass in
Yes.
the last
Year.
half year. The turnaround phenomenal. The numbers I've shared are all there.
Yes.
But we're also facing some very harsh realities. We've seen where inflation is at the moment. Tough. Fuel prices are where they are. Food prices are where they are. A drought has been with us and for a while now.
Are we
So-
at risk of a depression?
Everybody says globally that's what is at risk. But here's the thing, in the toughest of times, that's when the toughest actually show up.
Yes.
And I think for me, when I look at where the low-hanging fruit,
Yes.
it's the people who are able to hold their breath and continuing to invest and to do the right things. So if you're a hotel, identifying the right pricing and mix to get the people who want that little break for whatever they can afford.
Yes.
Right? It's around the opportunities around, for some organizations where you can, taking a smaller hit on your margin, just so that a lot more people can continue to enjoy you.
Yes.
It's going to be around in FMCG, where I spent most of my life. We spent a lot of time developing what we call the low unit packs, the small unit packs, because those then allow somebody to still experience and to still enjoy something, but with a lower cash outlay. Because with things getting tougher, people are going to really start looking at, what do I throw out of my basket?
I recently took a tour of Dagoretti South with MP aspirant, independent candidate, Jambi Koikai. And one thing she asked me is, why are they not here selling us smaller sachets of coffee? Because as a community, she says they drink a lot of coffee or whatever product, right? And when you talked about smaller packs, that really rung in my mind because, it may be a bigger expense to have to invest in the infrastructure required to produce smaller packets, to package them that way.
Yeah.
But as you said, that may be what separates survival from.
Exactly. And we were sitting with a potential client at
Yeah.
the office with the team this week.
Yeah.
And we're taking them through all the research and on all the observation that we're seeing right now. And I also encourage a lot of the team and a lot of people to go to a supermarket and watch what people are doing. Yeah. They get to a till, they wander around the basket, all the things, ooh, lovely, yummy, this, pick. And then they get to the till. And when they get to the till, it's rung up and the number comes up and you see, what?
Exactly.
And then that is a moment of truth because you start to see what they're removing, And so what I tell a lot of clients, you can't be the one who's removed.
Okay.
How do you make sure that in that moment of truth, you're not going to be the one who's removed?
Yes.
And even if you're removed, somebody looks at you and says, oh my goodness, I really have to have this. It's 200 mil.
Yes.
Is it 100 mil? And then bring it down and everything else.
Yes.
And so the message I'd give a lot of people now is, are you understanding the moment of truth when that purchase decision is being made? Are you the one who's going to be thrown out? And if indeed somebody even considers throwing you out, is there an alternative? Are they so vested in you that they sit down and say, no, I've got to have this. What I'll do is let me just dial back on my consumption on that particular item. And it's everything. It's even services.
Yes.
Yeah. So if it's a hotel now, fantastic. I love the Social House, for example. Think it's a fantastic place. When things are rocking, rolling and everything else, give me a room for $250.
Yes.
But if things come down, $150.
Yes.
I'll still cover my costs. At least it's full than having many rooms, empty and things like that.
Yes.
So it is those kind of conversations that increasingly post-election, post the season of economic downturns, that we need to really think about and internalize. And then secondly, don't stop communicating.
Okay.
Because that message sticks with me when I'm that moment of truth. That influencer who's told me that Coco Lily is the one. Because also when things are down, what do you look for? Treats.
Yes.
The one treat that's going to make you feel absolutely good about yourself.
True.
So am I going to be that treat if I'm a premium product? And if I'm an everyday product, am I going to be not thrown out because there's always an alternative size of what I am from a choice point of view?
I love it. And when you look at the market and you look at what people are focusing on, especially young people, and you have all these businesses trying to tap into the youth.
Yeah.
What do you think is the key message that's actually getting to them? Because now as we move on from elections into the post-election, post-pandemic period, people are going to look at the mass again, and they're going to look at young people.
Yes.
So with regards to communicating to young people, I'm not necessarily saying young in age, but also young at heart.
Yes,
right?
like me, yeah.
Like us. We are
Like us.
together.
Yep.
We're just like 2-3 years apart.
All right.
The point is, what is it that organizations, brands need to get right?
For the youth, again, I was just absolutely fascinated by this piece of research which we complete and which we do on a regular basis, trying to understand what's going on with the youth.
Yes.
The first thing with them is the amount of time they spend on social media.
Okay.
Now, if you're going to be speaking to them, you have to be figuring out first how I get them in the social media spaces that they consume a lot of media.
Yes.
Secondly, they're very influenced by something that makes them either look cool or be with or whatever else, because in a way, they're very much a now society.
Yes.
Our youth now, for example, don't see the point in buying a house. Why would you buy a house? You can rent and you can live wherever I want. Why would I stay in one particular place forever in the same place? My God. Secondly, cars. Why do I need a car? There's Uber, there's Bolt, there's goodness, I'll find my way, right? So you're dealing with people who believe in the now. Yeah. How do you then convert that now into a sensible now?
Okay.
A sustainable now?
Yes.
And hence a reason why conversations going forward is, how do you build that loyalty? And part of that loyalty is influence. That influence is a person who they want to be. And increasingly now we're finding the most powerful way to convert young people is finding people who they look up. So mentorship now
Yes.
has come in the form
I was asking
of
you if you
influencers.
I was asking you earlier.
But influencers now
Yeah.
are the new mentors. And although we don't call them that, but
Yes.
that is exactly what they are. So if indeed you find the right kind of influencer, you're in business if there's a particular thing
Yes.
that that particular group of young people want to buy into.
I love it.
Yeah.
Patricia Ithau. She is the CEO WP. What does WPP stand for?
I don't know. It's just WPP.
I was going to ask Sarah Patricia. What does WPP
Oh
stand
my God. You know, it's shocking. We're just WPP.
They are WPP
Is
ScanGroup.
one of the biggest and the most creative media communications, marketing and branding agencies in the world. And at Kansas here, we won the best. I mean, we were the most creative. We won that award globally.
Mumbi, get us some applause.
Yeah.
Mumbi, cue up some applause. That'll be coming
so
up
it's
after
wonderful. Yeah.
This is just for you, actually.
Yeah.
It's Janet Jackson.
Thank you.
Afternoon, Nakuru. I'm Double O on Spice every Saturday from 10 a.m. bringing you Double O Direct. How are you coping this election season? We need peace. We need calm. We need sobriety to a point. Yeah, I'm here with WPP ScanGroup CEO Patricia Ithau. We're talking about election resilience. Now, your parting words with regards to youth, with regards to businesses, and with regards to where are we going? No, I'm just kidding. No, we're going for Anthony Hamilton. That's for
Yes.
sure. But
Yeah.
parting words for election resilience.
I think my biggest message that I'd like to leave
Yes.
is that as Kenyans, we have to start embracing the fact that we are one blood. I tell people that, you know what, if I cut my skin now and you cut yours, Olivia, and
Yes.
somebody else cuts, it's actually the same, right? Yes, we have different blood groups, but it's all exactly the same. So really, we should recognize that as we go into the season, that being one blood, we should come together and we have a nation to protect.
Yes.
For young people, I think the most powerful message to them is that your future is in your hands. You're young. This is your country. This is where you're going to live.
Yes.
Don't even try and imagine you're going to run away anywhere. Nobody's going to take you. Try getting a visa appointment. Good luck. So really work on building. Do not allow yourself to be misled by somebody with an agenda that has nothing to do with you.
Yes.
Their agenda is only to do with themselves. So think about your country, think about what you want as a future for your country, and act accordingly. And acting accordingly means being responsible, not being misled to get into anything that can harm this so-called country that we're talking about, which is ours and which you're going nowhere from.
Yes. You know, I love the fact that you have two amazing daughters, Stanford and Yale educated, and yet they're back home. I love that they're back here
And they
in Kenya.
are very clear. We were talking with my daughter again
Yeah.
yesterday, and I was asking, so when have you made a call in terms of where you're going to do your master's?
Yes.
And she's like, no, Mom, oh gosh, I think this time I'm going to do the UK. America, forget it. I'm not going back there and everything else. Why? Because it's closer to home, And so if you've got that, imagine if you lose that. Imagine the people who don't have a home to come back to. Imagine what's going on in Ukraine right now.
Exactly.
And the challenges you face. So I think for me, elections are an event.
Yes.
Let's recognize it as an event, but let business as usual continue. And that business as usual is around building our lives and building our country. So as youth, whatever you do, that should be your single biggest focus.
Yes.
As businesses, it's really around building your future and your sustainability. You have people you've employed. You've got, a future that you want to build. That should where your focus should be. What are the things that you need to do to continue to do that? And even as my team now, that's what I tell them. Our future is our clients. How do we make sure we're continuing to serve them and give them the best? What happens outside is fantastic. It's an environment that we have to live in. But the more fundamental thing that's going to ensure your future is doing the right thing and doing quality things for your client. That should be your focus.
Yes.
Let's leave the politicking aside.
You can see why WPP ScanGroup is in good hands and why they're winning so many awards in Cannes. I like that you said Cannes.
Cans and
like the cans.
business and everything else. Yes.
Doing phenomenally well. So thank you so much and all the best.
Thank you. Thank you, Double O. Thank you for inviting me. This has been fantastic. We saw each other wearing Kenyan, and it was good to reconnect.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
SpiceFM.